Okay, we are going to walk through the process of adding a new news item to the new SD Native Homeownership Coalition website. When you add a new post, it's going to appear in two spots on the site. The first is on the home page towards the bottom in this news section in the carousel. And the second is on the standalone news page. On this page is where the full block of all the news posts will go. So they're kind of categorized here by category, and you can sort and filter them. And on the home page, this essentially is just going to show the 4 or 5 most recent posts. Um, all the posts are sorted by date. For example, September 9, 2019 is the most recent one visible. So if you add a new post and it has an older date, just be aware that it's not going to show up in this home page block because that's just showing the most recent ones. It's helpful to probably have a couple different tabs open when you're adding a news post. The first would maybe be the live website, just maybe the news page so you can check your progress, and then the logged in WordPress tab. So you have received a link and then login credentials to log into the back end of WordPress. Once you're logged into WordPress, you'll see a big menu on the left side. And what we're concerned with is posts. That's the system that we're using for the news article. So if you click on posts and then all posts, you'll see the list of a couple that we've built so far, kind of as an example. And then the process starts with the add new button. The last tab that would be helpful to have open would be the news section on the current website, because that's the content that you'll essentially just copy and paste over to the new website. One additional note is there's some events, some news posts that you'll want to just bypass and then make a note of, and there are ones that have a little bit more of a complex layout that require some kind of additional back-end work. A few examples of that would be like this posts, for example, the coalition reflects on accomplishments and re-energizes for year ahead. It's got more than one image, and then it also has like an additional image gallery at the bottom. That's a little more complex in nature than we're going to get into today. So for the time being, just go ahead and skip over any of the existing news articles that have like a media gallery or multiple images. The one other kind to bypass would be ones like this Welcome Eileen Kennedy posts that have like a vertical image rather than a landscape horizontal image. That's just going to, again, kind of require some different formatting that we're going to bypass. So those two kind of criteria would be ones that you would skip over when you're working through them. So news articles that look like this is kind of what we're after. This is kind of the baseline template that we have ready to go. So one kind of landscape wide image and then just text or a button or something along those lines. So for today, this is the one that we'll use as an example. So I'm going to close those other tabs. The process would start with just highlighting and then copying the title on the existing post, going back to our new page. So again, this was under posts and then add new, and then just right in the title field here, you'll just post that. That'll give it its title. And then all of our news posts are set up to use a template. So there's a backend editor button here. If you click that, and then if you click this icon here under the WP Bakery page builder, it says templates. So we'll click on that. There's a templates tab, and then you'll see that there's one that says news post. That's the one that we'll want to use. So towards the right hand side of the screen, there's a little plus icon. We'll just click that, and it'll take a second, but that's going to handle most of the formatting for us. So you'll see that this text box has appeared. Now this text box is just kind of has placeholder content from the very first example news article that we used. So we'll go ahead and click on the little pencil button here. When you roll your mouse anywhere over this, this bar pops up, and we'll click the pencil button. That's the edit button. That's going to open a pop-up window that has just kind of a basic text editor. So the first thing to do is just to kind of click and drag and copy all the content that was in there and just delete it. and then we'll go back over to our old website post, and then we'll do the same thing here. We're just going to click and drag to copy all this content. You don't need to copy this little first bar here that has the date, and then at the very bottom the categories. You don't need to copy that. So kind of just the block of content between the date and then the categories at the bottom. We'll flip back over to our new one and just paste it in. And this is a pretty intuitive system, so it'll maintain formatting for the most part. So this post doesn't happen to have any links in it, or like headline text things or buttons or anything like that. But if it were to, this new, when you paste it in, it'll pretty much maintain that formatting. So there are some basic formatting options here. If you need to highlight anything, you can bold it or underline it, or assign it as a quote. But for the most part, however it's formatted on the current website, when you copy and paste it in, it'll maintain that. So once you have that pasted in, we'll just click Save. And now that the content is taken care of, there are 3 other little things that we need to be aware of. The first would be in the categories box here. As we looked at on the news page, they're all filterable by category, so we need to assign those, and we do that here in this categories box. You do not need to check the news one, that's kind of the parent category, but you need to check at least one of these categories. It can be tagged under multiple posts, so it would show up under multiple areas. So this one is talking about veteran homeownership, so for the time being we'll just click veteran homeownership. But it can be tagged under multiple if you would like it to be, and then it'll show up when any of those are selected as an option. The next one would be the image for the post. So to get that, we're going to go back to the current website. It'll look different on a PC or a Mac, but essentially you'll just want to right click or command click on the image, and then you'll want to save the image to your computer. And then once it's saved to your computer, we'll flip back to our new page, and then on the right hand side of the page towards the bottom, there's a featured image box. We'll click the set featured image link, and that'll open the media library. If the image that you wanted to use for the post happened to already be uploaded, you could just click on it here, but most likely you'll need to upload the file that you just saved. So there's an upload files tab. We'll click on that. You can either just drag the file anywhere onto this window from your computer, or if you click select files, then you can navigate to where the image was saved. So it's right there. We'll click choose. It'll take just a second to upload, and then once it's uploaded, you'll see the new image appear here. You'll just want to make sure that it's selected, it has that blue check mark and then the blue outline, and then in the lower right corner, click set featured image. That'll take just a second, but then you'll see that image displayed here. The very last thing that we need to set is the date of the post. So by default, when you add a new news post, the date and time that is displayed on the website is going to be the exact moment that you hit publish, so it would be today's date. But the majority of the posts have a specific date tied to them, and that's found just underneath the image. So for example, this one is March 20, 2018. So back on our new post, where it says publish immediately, we'll click edit, and then this is the date field to change. So we're going to change that to March 20, 2018. Now this does have an actual like hour and minute that you can assign to it, but that's probably not very important to follow. So once you have the correct date in, click OK. And that is all the criteria we need to enter. So we're going to click the publish button. That'll take just a moment, and then once the page refreshes, you'll see at the top of the page it says post published. So in order to check our work on that, we're going to hop over to the live news page. We'll refresh it, and then once the page reloads, we should see our posts included. So March 20 was the date on that, so here it is. The Coalition Working on Multiple Fronts is right there. And then if you remember, we tagged that as Veterans Homeownership, so if we click that, we'll see that it displays there. You can click the picture or the title or the read more button, and that'll take you to the standalone post page so we can kind of check our work. You'll see that the image is in place there, the post title is there, and then the content that we copied and pasted over is all present and ready to go. So that is the process for adding a news post. If at any time you need to go back and edit something, you can do so kind of at any time. So back again under posts and then all posts. That'll display the list of all the ones that have been built so far. And then you can click on the title of any of them, and that'll take you back to the page builder. So if you need to update the title, you can. If you need to update the category, you can do so. Or if you need to actually change something in the text box, you can do so as well. So again, just in summary, you'll want to skip over news posts from the current website that include a more complex layout, and then just make a note of the ones that you're skipping over so we can go back and add those later on. But from that point on, you should be good to go.